non-believers.
How did that?
To all the non-believers, especially you, Tom Jackson. Way to have our back, Keyshawn. Anybody can be beat.
All right, guys, welcome back to Jets Fuel. Today I'll be going over this 2026 draft class by our New York Jets. I'm going to give you a quick recap and my thoughts on each selection. And, we'll see where this conversation takes us. But all in all, just from face value on the draft, you have to sit here and say, as Jet fans, of course, for us Jet fans, the off season is when we get. We always tend to win the off season. Let's put it that way. We're the champions of the off season, free agency, draft, all this stuff mixed up. That's when, that's like the pinnacle of our whole football year is the Jets off season. But guess what? There's some real hope in the air right now with the Jets organization. This draft class is one of the best, if not the best, that I've seen in my lifetime. Obviously, when you think of the best Jets draft classes, you think of the 2000 draft when we had those 4 first-rounders with Chad Pennington, Sean Ellis, John Abraham, and then you have the tight end Anthony Beck. Obviously that's one that remains near and dear to all of our Jets fans' hearts. And then you think of like a draft class like the 2006 where we had Nick and Brick going. Nick Mangold, rest in peace, and Brickishaw Ferguson in that draft. And then ultimately in the second round we also got my guy David Harris, the linebacker from Michigan. And then you think of more recently the 2022 draft where we had Sauce Gardner, Garrett Wilson, and Tremaine Johnson. So, but we all know how that usually happens when we got these have these good draft classes. They hang around for 3 or 4 years and then they get traded away and they're successful somewhere else. But that's not the type of energy I want to put out today. Listen, I'm just going to give you my thoughts and feelings. I do want to say right off the bat that I feel like this draft is up there. Like, you got to give credit to Darren Muji, our general manager, and Aaron Glenn to a certain extent. Like, specifically more so our general manager. He's been on fire, man. This guy is the real deal. I always loved Joe Douglas, but what Darren Muji has done in these 2 years, 2 seasons, it's incredible. The way he can move and create trades and his free agency signings, like, and his draft picks now, like, there's some real hope and some real legitimate hope, I should say, in the Jets organization, and it's spreading throughout the fan base because you could see the makings of a team that we could be proud of. And I don't want to, obviously, like, I'm going to sit here and we're going to discuss all this stuff, but I'm a Jet fan just like all you guys. My hopes and my unrealistic dreams always peak right around this time and entering into the coming into training camp and going to into the season. So I'm trying to be careful and smart about what I say, but listen, I think we're going to give some teams some real problems out there, man. I'm even thinking forward, like, to the 2027 draft. And that year, we got our 3 first-round picks coming up. And whatever quarterback that we bring in next year, man, he's going to have a load of weapons to throw the ball to. He's going to be surrounded better than any other first-round quarterback we selected in many, many years. Like, you think about all these guys that we've selected in recent years, Zach Wilson and Sam Darnold, we had nobody to put around them. They were out there and they were just, surviving by the skin of their teeth. But whoever's coming in here next year, they're going to have no excuses because they're going to be surrounded by talent across the board. They're going to be surrounded by a good, young, talented offensive line that we have assembled. yeah, and I'm really excited to see what the team can do this year. Um, Obviously, we got Geno Smith. It's going to be under center this year, but in a bigger Odin, stop. Sorry, the dogs want to start licking aggressively the second I want to do this stuff. Yeah, so thinking about this year, we're gonna have Geno Smith under center, and he has, like I mentioned in my previous video on the draft, upcoming draft. He's got something to prove, and he's gonna air the ball out. And now we got weapons all over the place for him to do that, for him to be successful. I'll be interested to see how they handle the Geno Smith thing. If he does produce a statistically good year for us. Yeah, but I don't want to dive too deep into that. Let's stay focused because I can get off track very easily. So let's jump into this real quick. The 2026 draft class recap. Starting out number 1, we picked number 2 pick of the draft. The Jets decided to take David Bailey, the edge out of Texas Tech. If you watched my previous video, I did not want this selection. And out of all the selections, this is my only question mark. But guess what? He's one of us now. Despite me feeling that Arvell Reese was probably the better selection at that point, or even to push it even further extent, Ruben Bain Jr. would have been a better selection for us, like a plug and play. But I think they went with, like, I guess, I don't even know. I wouldn't even consider it the safer pick because the safest pick was Ruben Bain Jr. And side note, I don't know if you guys watched the draft, but if you saw Ruben Bain Jr. when he fell to number 15, he got selected by the Buccaneers. This guy is going to be a problem. He has a chip on his shoulder. He's got a fire under his ass, and he's going to let some of these teams, feel it come this next season. Anyway, that's a side note. So David Bailey Jr., David Bailey, our selection number 2. Listen, you have to sit here and say automatically he was the best pass rusher available in the draft with his 14.5 sacks he had last year. Listen, he was just the best pure pass rusher in the draft. Like I said, explosive pass rusher, and you would hope that he's going to be an immediate starter for us. My only gripe with this, and this is the reason why I did not want to take him at that number 2 pick, was, are we going to see him be able to play 3 downs on defense? Because when you think about David Bailey, you have to, obviously everybody knows he plays a premium position and he's an extremely productive pass rusher. We get that, but his concerns are lying in he's overly aggressive in the run game and playing setting the edge and pursuing attack. A rusher, the ball carrier. And his issues in dropping back into coverage. How is that going to translate? How are we going to be able to figure out a way to get him on the field? Because if he's going to come here and only play 25 to 35% of the snaps, it doesn't make sense. And then you think about even in the bigger picture, how are you going to play? We already have a guy like that, this kind of pure pass rusher in Will McDonald. So you can't play the two of them on the field at the same time unless it's a known passing situation where you could just send them off each edge and let them go get after the passer. Outside of that, you can't play them together because now you have extreme liability on each edge. And these NFL offenses know weaknesses. They're going to read tape, they're going to watch tape, and they're going to go after and expose our weaknesses. And the weaknesses of David Bailey are the same that Will McDonald has. Sorry about that. So they're going to be held up. That's the only issue I'm having. Is David Bailey going to come in here and play more than 25 to 35% of the snaps and be effective in stopping the run? That's something that he's going to be coached up big time. But like I said in the beginning of this, he's one of us now. He's got my full support until proven otherwise. And so, fuck it. Let's go, David Bailey, man. Put up these stats you were putting up in college this past season, and all will be well in New York. So, Let's move on to the number 16 pick. And this was interesting. When we hit the number 16 pick, my guy that, if you watch my draft video, if he was available, I had picked Makai Lemon and Omar Cooper Jr. Those are my two guys if they were available. And guess what? At number 16, Makai Lemon was there. So I said, this is a surefire. They're going to run this guy up, and he's going to be our selection at 16. But the Jets, do what the Jets do, and they threw us for a loop, and they went with Kayon Sadiq. I hope I said Kenyon Sadiq, the tight end out of Oregon. And initially, like I said, I wanted Makai Lemon there. But the more I thought about it, and then as round one was finished, I'm pleasantly surprised and excited for this guy, man. When I tell you, like, this guy, the stuff I watched on him and everything I've read about him, this guy is a freak, man, and he's gonna be a matchup nightmare, especially in the middle of the field for defenses. Talk about Kenyon Sadiq, you talk about he's an athletic weapon. He could be lined up everywhere, and it's going to make you think that they're going to try to shift our offense to like a 12 personnel, where we're going to have one running back, two wide receivers, and we're going to run two tight ends at the same time. I love that. So now you think about Kenyon Sadiq. Obviously, like I just said, he's a freak. I don't know. I think I heard somewhere that they called him that. Like his nickname is a freak. He ran a 4.37 40. He could block. He can catch. He can run. Like, this guy is going to be a problem out there. And like I said, the more I think about this, the more excited I am that the Jets went with this selection. And it makes perfect sense for what I think they're trying to accomplish. Now, like I said, when you listen, everything's being geared up for that 2027 draft. And the best friend of a young quarterback, a quarterback period, is a good tight end. So now if you put that 12 personnel out there, you have Mason Taylor line up maybe on the line, and you have Sadiq line up on the outside in the slot somewhere. You're going to have options for that young quarterback to deliver the ball to, and they're going to get open. So it's honestly, I think the more I think about this, the more I have to give praise to the general manager right there. And I know Frank Reich is excited, elated. If you think back to his time with the Colts, think about Dallas Clark, man. Like, so can that guy slide? Can he slide in there and be that type of guy for us? I hope so. I pray so. He has all the intangibles, physical tools to be a major problem in this league for many years to come. And I hope that he has nothing but success for us, for our New York Jets. I can't remember the last time that we had like a dominant tight end. If you remember, if you've been watching this, and even my boys know, for the last couple of years, I've been screaming at the Jets to take. I was screaming. I was announcing everywhere, take Brock Bowers those 2 years ago. And then last year, I wanted the kid Tyler Warren. Like, if you have a young quarterback, the best friend to them is a tight end, and a competent tight end. So let's see what they could do out there. Like I said, this is all being geared up for that 2027 draft, where we're going to, potentially bring in our franchise quarterback for many years to come. Anyway, so I love it. I love the selection. Like I said, but yeah, extreme high upside and production by this kid. Moving on to the number 30 pick, we ended up trading away our number 33 pick and a 5th round pick to move back up into the first round to the number 30 selection. And they got my guy, the guy I was calling for. I've been wanting for the longest time. Omar Cooper Jr., the wide receiver at Indiana. And listen, this is just going to be a great compliment to Garrett Wilson, and it's just another weapon to put out there. I mean, look at our stable of fucking wide receivers now. We are on paper, we have a good quality starting group of wide receivers out there. Something we could be proud of, and something that Geno Smith and our future quarterback next year can feel, solid about and like good about. Omar Cooper, big-bodied receiver, plays extremely physical in his routes, which I love, and he's going to be a menace in the red zone and on third downs for our offense. And like I said, he's obviously, like I said, he was my guy, but it's obviously a guy that the Jets targeted early on in this draft, and they made it a point to come back up and get him, which I love. And I can't praise Darren Muji enough on what the dealings he made to get these players into our organization and into our doors for the New York Jets. So yeah, great compliment for Garrett Wilson. I love the pick, absolutely love it. And then to follow that up, we're entering round 2, pick number 50, because like I said, we did another trade where we traded out of the 44 pick, and we moved back. And we got the number 50 pick. But at that point, if you watch my video before, I keep referencing this stuff. But in the second round, my guy was D'Angelo Pons, outside of Jacob Rodriguez, who ended up going to the fucking Dolphins. Fuck's sake. But D'Angelo Pons was one of my guys. So the Jets go up and take him at number 50, the cornerback out of Indiana. And it was crazy because you saw on the, when they did like the profile of it during the draft night, they comped him to Aaron Glenn, which is pretty cool. It was a pretty cool story. He's a little bit of an undersized cornerback, but it plays extremely big, physical, tenacious, great in man coverage. And like I said, he adds depth to our he's going to be adding depth to our and be potentially a starter in our cornerback room. You think about our cornerback room, we have A.Z. Thomas, kid we brought in last year from Florida State. We have Brandon Stevens. We have the kid we brought in from the Bears. Forget his name's escaping me right now, but he was a Pro Bowl caliber cornerback. And then we got what's the kid? The slot defender, which I love. What the fuck is his name? The kid we brought in from the Titans last year. Fuck. I love that. I love how he played in the slot. Anyway. Damn, what the fuck is his name? I'll remember at some point. But yeah, we have a good stable of cornerbacks right now that we can put out there. And I think, D'Angelo Pons can step in there and potentially vie for that starting role. We'll see, because A.Z. Thomas played very well last year, but he did end up getting injured. Brandon Stevens had his good and highs and lows last year. Yeah, we're gonna have to see how that translates. But absolutely love the pick at number 50. One of my guys. Moving on to pick number 103, the Jets decided to take Darrell Jackson, the defensive tackle out of Florida State, and I didn't know much about this guy, honestly. But once I looked into him, and this guy is like a big interior presence that's going to be felt on that defensive line, and he's going to make those offensive line feel it. Initially, when I looked at it, I thought this is another fucking Michael Clemens. But, obviously I hope that's not the case. But he's a true run stuffer. He is a big man. He's aggressive and he's physical. But so he's going to be a great rotational piece to add to that defensive line, which is already, stacked up right now. You think about our defense in general. Like, I was talking about this with my uncle, the OG Jet fan. Like, I think our defense is going to be scary good next year. Scary good next year. It's going to take. They're going to make a massive improvement than what we saw this past season with that fucking pathetic play on defense. But yeah, I'm expecting big things out of this defensive line. We have some great depth out there. And like you said, this kid, Darrell Jackson, he's going to fit in very well as a rotational piece, bringing some energy. And he's a run stuffer. And that's what, the 3-4 defense, these guys that play with their hand in the ground need to be able to do. They have to be stout against the run. And he's definitely that. Moving on to pick number 110, which was kind of a surprise for me, and probably my least favorite pick out of this whole draft class was this fucking guy. Pick 110, it was Cade Klubnik, the quarterback out of Clemson, which I did not foresee this happening. If you watch my video, the draft video, my previous video, I wanted to. My guy was Carson Beck that I mentioned out there, and then outside of that was the kid Nussmeier from LSU. I thought that maybe they were a better fit for us and Frank Reich. But listen, this guy Klubnik is going to be a developmental quarterback, and can potentially through development move into solidifying a backup, like a long-term backup solution for us at the quarterback position. He has a great deal of experience in playing quarterback at a high level in a prestigious organization. College at Clemson. His first 2-3 years, he was projected to be one of the best quarterbacks coming out. This past year, he did have a down year with some lingering fucking injuries, but I see the upside. I see that he's very good in the RPOs. He's an athletic quarterback. He can get out of the pocket and move, and he can throw. He can do all the throws. He's high IQ, but obviously this past season wasn't the best for him, and it definitely hurt his draft stock. But like I said, hopefully this could be a solution for us and solidifying a long-term backup that we can put back there and feel confident in. You think about our quarterback room right now. It's going to be interesting to see what happens, because obviously we got Geno Smith, who's obviously the starter. Then we have this kid Brady Cooks, who started a bunch of games for us last year, and at times he showed flashes, but the vast majority of it was not good because he was just surrounded by a poor team. Let's be honest, so we couldn't expect that much out of him. And then outside of that, what I'm trying to allude to is, yesterday, you've seen reports come out of the Jets bringing in Russell Wilson as a potential guy to bring in, to add to our quarterback room. So I'll say this, the Jets organization, they're rolling high right now in regards to the fan base. We're super excited. We're super supportive and all this shit. But guess what? Shit like this, talking about bringing in Russell Wilson, there's no business in doing that, because guess what? Now it's fucking infuriating us, because it's reminding us of the dumb moves that we've made in the past. He does not need to be on here. For the last 2 seasons, the Steelers said this guy is not competent enough to play quarterback. You saw last year with the Giants what happened to him. He looked like a fucking disaster. Why would you bring this guy in here? It's unnecessary. We don't need him. Don't do it. This smells a lot like a fucking move that somebody, Woody Johnson, is bringing up. To bring a big name guy in here for what? He does not need to be here. That's all I'm going to say about this. No, absolutely not. Bring back Tyrod Taylor. Fuck's sake. I don't care. I don't want Russell Wilson in the building. It's just unnecessary. No knock against him. Whatever he decides to do, good for him. But you're not coming to the Jets. God willing. Anyways, I don't want to ruin the high that we're on as Jet fans. So, yeah, our pick was Cade Klubnik at Clemson. I don't have many thoughts about it. I think this was my least favorite pick out of the whole draft class. I think they could have went with different guys at that point, but whatever. He does have a ton of experience, high IQ, has had success at a big program in Clemson. And look, maybe he could develop into a long-term solution for a backup quarterback moving forward. It's always good. Pick number 188 was another scary, good selection. It was Inez Cooper, the guard out of Miami. Look, when you think about him, he's a massive, massive, massive interior offensive lineman, specifically guard. He's 6'5", 340 pounds. With development, could he potentially move into that starting left guard position, where that's like really our only question mark that we have now? We brought the kid in from the Raiders in free agency. Maybe this is a guy that can come in there and day one and challenge for that starting role. He's another depth guy at the end of the day if that doesn't turn out, and he's another project that he can develop into that starting role. The video I've seen of him is, I love that type of energy. It reminds me of Willie Colon, man. He is mean, nasty. He finishes blocks in the run game. I could see him definitely developing into a starter for us at some point. The only issues and concerns with him is his weight issue. He's had weight issues apparently throughout his whole college career. But look at the size of him: 6'5", 340 pounds. Hopefully, he can keep that weight in check. We all remember Mekhi Becton and all the weight shit that he had to deal with. Hopefully, that's something that doesn't derail his NFL career. But great value at that pick at 188. Love it. And like I said, at the end of the day, if he doesn't develop this year as a starter or push for that spot, he's going to be a depth piece for us. All right, last pick of the draft, number 228. Pick number 228, VJ Payne, the safety out of Kansas State. I'm not going to sit here and lie like I know much about this guy. Don't know much about him, but everything I've read about him, and the videos I've seen about him, he's going to be a great. He's gonna for us right now. I think he's gonna be more so like a special team guy, a depth piece in the back end of our in the safety room. But from what I read and seen about him, he's a great athlete, and he's like a range safety. He can play against the pass very well. He knows how to move in and out of his zone coverage. Great instincts when it comes to that, but he has major issues in developing. He needs to be developed and coached up in his run support and in his tackling in general. That's what I've read. Which we all know that last year, the year before, the issue with the Jets, one of the major issues we had outside of penalties and shit play across the board was tackling. So, God willing, this coaching staff has assembled the right coaches that could teach these guys how to properly tackle. I don't even know why we're talking about this, but like I said, at the end of the day, he's going to be starting out a special teams guy. Maybe he could excel there. Jets have an excellent special teams group. And, he's going to be a rotational depth piece, backup safety for us. So, like I said, all in all, I'm very surprised how well that we made out in this draft. Time will tell if this draft will develop into one of these, legendary drafts that I mentioned before, the 2000 draft, the 2006 draft, the 2022 draft. Is this something that we can expect? Listen, on paper, it looks great. How these guys translate to on the field and playing, big boy football, like we're going to have to see. But you can't knock Darren Muji or Aaron Glenn and how they handled this draft. It was spectacular, on point. Obviously, I didn't mention my number at the number 2. David Bailey wasn't my guy, but guess what? Now, he's my guy. He's one of us. He's going to get our full support. I wish nothing but the best for him, and I'm excited to see these guys out on the field and develop and be foundational pieces for our team moving forward. And like I said before, and I alluded to before, we're going to be a dark horse next year. Mark my words. With the team that's the team that's assembled on paper right now, this team is going to be a problem for a lot of teams out there. We're going to be playing inspired football. We're going to be out there with something to prove, with a chip on our shoulder. And the team that we have assembled, especially moving into 2027, oh boy, man, my hopes are getting up there. I'm getting really excited. We're assembling a good, solid, stable team, like across the board, and you have to give credit to Darren Muji. Obviously, Aaron Glenn had his struggles last year. We're gonna see how he develops these these young players, and how he actually coaches the team this year. If he shows improvement, I know he's taking on the responsibilities of calling the defensive plays. So let's hope and pray that a guy that comes from our lineage, like a Jets legend, he can actually show drastic improvement in year 2, and he could be our guy. And that tandem of Muji and Glenn could be the stabilizing pieces moving forward for years and years to come. And if they keep having quality free agency pickups like this, quality trades, and like stellar draft classes, we're gonna see a quick shift in the Jets culture and our productivity and our success ultimately. So that's all I got. Listen, guys, thanks for all the love and support. Listen, share your thoughts.